Episode 1: The Steelwood Bride. The story unfolds in Steelwood, a desolate, forgotten mining and logging settlement nestled deep within the Appalachian Mountains of West Virginia. The remnants of this former boomtown are marked by scorched timber and a single ominous structure, the rickety suspension bridge, known locally as the Whaling Bridge. Ko-Tanto. Local legend dictates that in 1920, a young woman named Lily, beautiful and innocent, vanished the night before her wedding. She had discovered her fiancé's grave betrayal and, in her despair, ran to the bridge and plunged into the gorge. Her body never recovered. The curse of the Whaling Bridge is simple yet chilling. On the night of a full moon, any man who crosses it while harboring thoughts of betrayal, whether he is the betrayer or the one betrayed, will encounter Lily's spirit, who seeks not to kill, but to sow inescapable seeds of doubt and madness. Our protagonist is Ethan, a young archaeologist working at a nearby coal mine, a man who firmly dismisses local superstitions. Tonight, however, the full moon hangs heavy in the sky, and Ethan is rushing back to town, his mind fraught with anxiety. Hours earlier, he had a vicious argument with his wife Sarah over the phone. In a moment of frustrating desperation, he lied, falsely claiming to be distracted by another relationship, just to end the draining conversation. Now, consumed by regret, he finds his vehicle forced onto the muddy track leading directly to the Whaling Bridge. The bridge appears as a dark silhouette, its rotten wooden planks groaning against the wind. As Ethan drives onto the precarious structure, the entire vehicle shudders and squeaks alarmingly, forcing him to slow down. Just as he fights to regain control, his phone screen suddenly flashes. An incoming text message, with no sender identified, displays only a single, chilling word: betrayal. The car dies instantly, dead center on the bridge. Silence descends, broken only by the whistling wind and the frantic beating of Ethan's heart. He attempts to restart the engine, but the key turns uselessly. He looks up and sees her. She stands 10 meters ahead, a pale, shimmering figure in a stained, ragged wedding dress, mist swirling around her feet. She is absolutely still. Ethan is mesmerized, unable to look away, instantly sensing the profound sorrow and supernatural coldness emanating from the spectral bride. As he repeatedly tries to turn the key, the engine remains lifeless. The figure begins to move, slowly, seemingly gliding inches above the planks. As she draws nearer, the tattered veil lifts in a puff of wind, revealing her face. It is not a skull, but a visage horribly distorted by extreme anguish, with vacant, wide-open eyes and lips stretched into a grotesque, haunting smile. Her skin is papery and deathly pale. She presses her cold, translucent hand against the windshield, leaving a misty smear, and her voice, not spoken, but seemingly echoing inside Ethan's mind, is a terrifying whisper. You too will betray her. She steps back slightly, pointing a bony finger at him with profound hatred, and repeats, "Betrayal. You are undeserving." In a final, desperate surge of panic, Ethan twists the key one last time. The engine roars to life. He slams the accelerator, speeding off the bridge without daring to check his rearview mirror. He drives home in a daze, the image of Lily's contorted face burned into his memory. Sarah is waiting, her face etched with worry. She rushes to hug him, panicked that he hadn't answered her calls. Ethan is instantly confused. You didn't call me earlier?" She tells him no. She fell asleep right after their argument. A deep, paralyzing dread washes over Ethan. If Sarah didn't call him, and she didn't send the text message, what truly happened on the bridge? He opens the glove compartment to grab a flashlight, and an old yellowed photograph slips out. It is the portrait of Lily, the 1920 bride. But on her ring finger in the photograph is the exact diamond wedding band Ethan had given to Sarah. Ethan stares at the photo, then slowly looks up at his wife. He realizes that the ghost is not the victim seeking revenge for her own fate. She is the malignant spirit of doubt and suspicion. Just then, a sudden chilling gust of air wafts through the slightly open window. He looks outside. Lily is there, standing under the moonlight. She doesn't smile. She simply points past him, directly at Sarah, and whispers into his consciousness with a cold, absolute malice. I was not the betrayer. She is the one who will betray you. Ethan turns to Sarah, his face drained of color, his eyes now alight with fear and intense suspicion. He has brought Lily and her insidious curse home. Episode 2: The House That Holds. The story tonight, Elias Thorne, will move beyond mere human betrayal and face something far more terrifying: the betrayal of the self. Our setting is New Orleans, a city drenched in history and mystic lore. Tucked away in the Garden District is a dilapidated Victorian manor known simply as the Kronos House, a place where time is believed to be fractured and where moments of tragedy never truly conclude. They are simply imprisoned. Locals whisper that the house is not haunted by individual ghosts, but is a living entity craving human pain and traumatic memories for its sustenance. Anyone who steps inside is not only shown the house's grim past, but is forced to confront their own history of guilt and regret. Our subject is Maya, a photographer obsessed with urban exploration, who seeks the soul of abandoned places. Tonight, despite dire warnings, Maya slips into the Kronos house, armed with an old film camera and an unwavering determination. Maya crosses the main hall. The air is heavy, stale, and thick with the smell of decay and dried hydrangeas. She begins her work, aiming her lens at the old fireplace in the living room. Click! When the instant film develops, it initially shows a happy family gathered around the hearth. But in a horrifying blink, the image distorts, the smiling faces blurring and transforming into a chaotic vision of domestic violence. The father brutally striking the mother. Maya shivers, yet her artistic curiosity overpowers her fear. She continues upstairs. She stops before a luxurious, yet heavily cobwebbed, master bedroom. Click! The developed photograph reveals a young girl sitting on the bed, reading innocently. As Maya peers closer, a terrible coldness permeates the room. The image on the film shifts. The girl remains, but a noose tightens around her neck. It is the gruesome spectacle of a suicide that took place right there. Maya realizes the truth. The house is not haunted. It is a film reel replaying its most agonizing deaths. She feels a presence watching her, not a spectral entity, but an overwhelming feeling of suffering itself. As Maya descends the slippery stone steps to the basement, the wooden door above her suddenly slams shut, locking her in absolute darkness. She desperately tries the door, but it is sealed. In the pitch black, the visions no longer require her camera. A faint light illuminates a corner, revealing the image of an 8-year-old boy, frail and bony, curled up and starving, clearly having been locked away and neglected. He is the personification of abandoned loneliness in this place. The boy looks at Maya with large, black, pupilless eyes, neither crying nor screaming, but slowly approaching her. Maya backs away until her spine hits the cold stone wall. The boy raises his hand and touches her cheek. His small skeletal hand is cold to the core. Suddenly, the boy whispers, but it is not a child's voice. It is Maya's own voice, trembling and saturated with remorse. You abandoned her. You abandoned your best friend in the hospital. You never visited. You let her die alone. You deserve to be locked away, imprisoned. Maya's terror climaxes. She realizes the boy is a physical manifestation of her own crushing guilt over Chloe, her best friend who succumbed to depression after Maya selfishly cut off contact. The house is not capturing ghosts. It is trapping her repressed self-loathing. Screaming, Maya throws herself against the basement door. She wants out, not from a haunted house, but from the memories that are suffocating her. She collapses onto the stone floor. In that moment, she sees her reflection in a shard of broken mirror at her feet. She is not in the basement. She sees herself standing alone in a desolate, sterile hospital hallway, the very place Chloe died. The vision vanishes. She finds herself sitting against the basement door, which is now open. The morning light streams in. She is free. Trembling, Maya walks out of the Kronos house, immensely relieved to feel the sunlight. She believes she has escaped the nightmare. When she checks her photographs later, all the developed film is blank. There are no images of the violent family or the suicidal girl. Only one photo remains. It is an image of Maya herself, standing in the middle of the living room. Her face is normal, but her eyes in the photograph are the large, dark, pupilless eyes of the boy trapped in the basement. Maya touches her own face, a cold realization washing over her. She has brought a piece of the house with her. The boy, the spirit of loneliness and regret, is no longer confined to the cellar. He is inside her. The house took what it wanted, not her soul, but her pain. And that pain, Maya, will continue to live and look out through your eyes. Episode 3, The Siren of the Dead Swamp. The setting shifts to the Okefenokee Swamp in Georgia, a vast, dark, humid land teeming with alligators, venomous snakes, and ancient tales of trapped spirits. It is the epitome of decay and death, a perfect location for a story about temptation and despair. Our protagonist is Javier, a seasoned hunter and local guide who knows every creek and hammock in the swamp. He trusts the real dangers of nature, the hungry alligator, the quicksand, or the sudden storm. But he dismisses the vague legends of the Siren of the Dead Swamp, a ghostly woman said to lure men to their watery demise. Javier's mission is to locate a group of tourists who vanished a few days prior. As he paddles his canoe deeper into the murky swamp, where cypress trees draped in Spanish moss form a shadowy canopy, Javier begins to hear it. At first, it is a distant echo, but soon a beautiful, mesmerizing singing resonates through the thick fog. The alluring voice seems to call his name, whispering promises of what he secretly desires most: wealth, peace, or even the image of his wife, whom he lost years ago. Hypnotized, Javier finds himself paddling further into a forbidden zone, a place even the bravest alligator hunters avoid. After hours of paddling, Javier finally finds the missing tourists. But they are not dead. They stand motionless, eyes glazed over, staring fixedly at a small mound in the middle of the swamp. Standing on the mound is the swamp siren. She is breathtakingly beautiful, nearly nude, her pale skin stark against the black mud. She sings, and her voice tightens its grip on the minds of the lost visitors. As Javier tries to pull them from her spell, the siren turns to face him. In that terrifying moment, he sees the horrific truth. She has no eyes, only two deep, dark sockets, and her pristine white skin is scarred and crisscrossed with ancient alligator bites and embedded swamp grime. As she sings a final, desperate high note, her flesh begins to crack and melt away. Beneath the captivating exterior is a terrifying form. She is the ancient spirit of the swamp itself, a gnarled, ancient cypress root, an entity that requires human souls to maintain its temporary, beautiful disguise. Javier knows he cannot fight an ancient natural entity. With a desperate impulse, he throws a packet of strong insect poison, which he carries for pest control, at her. The siren lets out a horrifying shriek, and her temporary body dissolves into a black, bubbling patch of mire. The tourists are saved, but they are spiritually catatonic, seemingly having lost a piece of their souls in the fog. Javier guides everyone safely back to the town. As he cleans his canoe, he finds a piece of smooth, wet, swamp-green skin clinging to his paddle. He shudders and throws it away. That night, he drifts off to sleep and has a strange dream. He sees himself standing alone in the deep swamp. He hears the swamp siren singing a lullaby in the distance, and as he tries to scream a warning to himself, his own voice begins to sing her hypnotic song. He wakes up in dread, realizing that by confronting the siren, he has become infected by a part of her. He has brought the temptation and isolation of the swamp home. The night is still long, and the primordial loneliness of the swamp has found a new host. The chilling cry of an alligator echoes from the distance, a welcoming sound to the newest resident of the dead swamp. Episode 4, The Silent Cornfield. This story revolves around the Peterson family cornfield in Iowa. 10 years ago, the youngest son, Daniel, vanished without a trace right in the middle of the family's vast corn acreage. Police searched for weeks, but found nothing. No footprints, no piece of clothing. The Peterson family was devastated. The father descended into madness and disappeared a few years later. Locals believe Daniel was not simply lost. They claim he was assimilated by the field itself. The legend says that if you walk into the field at night, you will see corn stalks without ears. Instead, they bear pale, silent faces that watch you. Our protagonist is Jessica, an investigative reporter specializing in cold cases. She drives to the Peterson farm, where only the elderly mother, Helen, lives in isolation. Helen stubbornly refuses to sell the land, convinced Daniel is still there. Jessica manages to persuade Helen to let her camp out and set up thermal sensor cameras in the field for one night to prove nothing unusual exists. Despite being midsummer, Jessica feels a strange, penetrating cold as she enters the cornfield. The stalks are dense and towering, completely obscuring the moonlight, creating an absolute maze of shadow. The smell of damp soil and dried leaves is overpowering. Jessica makes her way deep into the field, to the exact spot where Daniel was last seen. She sets up her equipment and waits. After midnight, she hears a strange sound. Not noise, but the lack of it. All the insects, the crickets, the wind, everything becomes dead silent. She turns on her flashlight. Thousands of tall corn stalks stand straight like silent soldiers. She checks the thermal sensor camera. Nothing. Yet, she feels dozens, hundreds of eyes staring back from the darkness between the rows. Jessica hears a slight rustle behind her. She spins around. Nothing. She turns back, and now she sees it clearly. Something is wrong with the cornstalk directly in front of her. A stalk, at her eye level, has no ear of corn. Instead, a human face protrudes from the stalk. It is not a carved face, but a moss-green, rough face, as if formed entirely of corn fibers and chlorophyll. Its eyes are dry, hardened kernels, staring straight at her. The face says nothing. It only opens its mouth, emitting a dry, cracking sigh, like earth splitting open. Panic-stricken, Jessica starts to run. But the cornfield does not allow it. Every path she takes leads her back to the same spot. Each time she turns around, the number of silent corn faces increases, appearing on stalks closer to her. She stumbles and falls. She looks up. She sees overlapping images of the faces, and they begin to whisper silently in unison. Not with sound, but with a heavy, crushing feeling in her head. You won't tell. You must stay. No one will know. Jessica realizes they are the souls of Daniel, his father, and perhaps countless others. They are not dead. They have been assimilated into the field, becoming one with it, and their purpose is to enforce silence. She desperately tries to call on her phone, but there is no signal. She crawls through the rows, pushing towards the perimeter. She must escape before sunrise, before she too is turned into another silent face. Finally, as dawn begins to break, she sees the barbed wire fence. She lunges through, tearing her clothes on the sharp wires, and runs onto the main road. She has survived. The next morning, Jessica relays her frantic story to the police, who dismiss her claims. She drives away from Iowa, determined to write about what she saw. A few weeks later, Jessica returns to her normal life. She sits at her computer, ready to type about the Peterson case. She types, "The disappearance of Daniel Peterson is one of the most." Suddenly, her fingers freeze. She stares at the screen, unable to continue. She cannot articulate a single word about what she saw. Her throat tightens, and her mouth opens, but no sound escapes. She rushes to the bathroom and looks in the mirror. Her face is still Jessica's, but a faint pale green streak runs down one side of her neck, and her skin is beginning to show rough, dry textures like the husk of corn. She raises her hand and touches her throat. She has brought a piece of the field with her. She has become one of the corn faces. She will never be able to tell the truth. She is condemned to silence. That cornfield still stands, silent and immense, under the Midwest sun, and it waits for more souls to join its silent ranks. Do you dare sow yourself into that silence? The silent shadows always await you. Episode 5, The Scavenger of Route 61. The legend here is not about a single ghost, but about a mysterious entity known as the Scavenger. It is said that the Scavenger is the soul of the road, a creature brought to life by hundreds of accidents. It is not human, but a conglomeration of rusted metal fragments, burnt rubber, and scattered human remains. It wanders the road, collecting debris, not to harm, but to complete itself from the wreckage of those who perished on Route 61. Our protagonist is Mark, a long-haul truck driver trying to find a shortcut to make his delivery deadline. He ignores his GPS warnings and turns onto Route 61, an eerily desolate road. Mark has been driving for 18 hours. He is exhausted and beginning to hallucinate. He struggles to fight off sleep. Around 3 a.m., as his truck speeds across the silent desert, there is a sudden, massive bang. A tire explodes, and Mark loses control, barely managing to keep the truck from flipping over. He climbs out of the cab. The outside temperature is strangely cold, despite being in the desert. He sees that the tire was punctured by a large, sharp piece of metal. As he pulls out the spare tire, he sees something terrifying a few dozen yards away. His truck's headlights shine directly onto something moving on the cracked asphalt. Mark tenses up, watching. It is a large, distorted shape, moving slowly across the fractured road. It has no discernible form. It resembles a chaotic mass of interconnected debris. He can make out a burnt seatbelt fragment, a shard of cracked windshield, a dented bumper, and, more horrifically, several fragments of pale human bone held together by rust. It rattles and scrapes, each movement creating a grating noise of metal on asphalt. The scavenger is doing its work, collecting fragments from Mark's accident. It approaches Mark's exploded tire. It bends down, if one can call it that, using a sharp piece of metal like a finger, and begins picking off bits of rubber and steel wire from the tire. Mark realizes its purpose is not to attack, but to gather. When the scavenger turns, Mark sees something even more disturbing. Within the chaotic metal mass, a red light flickers faintly. It is a piece of a shattered tail light, and inside a cracked piece of windshield glass attached to its body, he sees his own reflection. But his eyes are replaced by two cold mechanical metal screws. The scavenger scrapes closer to Mark, but not to attack, rather to exchange. It tosses the sharp piece of metal that punctured Mark's tire onto the ground, then offers Mark an object with another hand, a gold wedding ring, dented and stained with dry blood. Mark trembles as he takes the wedding ring. The scavenger lurches back towards the highway, continuing its aimless journey. Mark quickly installs the spare tire and speeds away, not daring to look back. After escaping Route 61, Mark tries to throw the ring away, but he cannot. It seems stuck to his hand, carrying the weight of hundreds of deaths. A few days later, Mark returns home. He glances in his rearview mirror and notices something strange. He no longer sees his truck behind him. He only sees Route 61 stretching endlessly. He touches his arm. He feels an absurd discomfort wearing a shirt. He takes it off. On Mark's skin, beneath the surface, faint lines of oxidized metal begin to surface. His hands feel unnaturally stiff. He looks down at the wedding ring on his finger. He had accepted the ring in exchange for something else, his own organic flesh and human soul. He realizes he is no longer Mark, the truck driver. He is the scavenger's newest replacement. He has become a living compilation of loneliness and rust, forced to walk Route 61, seeking fragments to complete his own never-ending self. He drives. The road is silent. He spots a shard of sparkling windshield on the asphalt. He feels an undeniable urge. Mark slams the brakes. Screech! He steps out of the truck and begins to walk along the road, stooping to pick up the piece of glass. Now, he too is a rattling ghost on the forgotten highway. Route 61 remains, waiting for lonely people looking for a shortcut. Remember, when you seek what is lost, you might lose yourself. And that is the end of the Silent Shadows series, at least until this road calls your name. Episode 6, The 0 Hour Diner. This story takes place at a classic American roadside diner called the Midnight Special, situated on a lonely stretch of highway in the Texas Panhandle. This diner only operates from midnight until dawn, and legend has it that if you arrive precisely at the 0 hour, the exact middle of the night, you will never leave. This place is haunted by the very concept of the 0 hour. Locals believe the owner, an old chef named Silas, made a deal with something ancient in the night to keep his business alive despite its isolation. The patrons who stop at the Midnight Special aren't just looking for a meal. They are souls seeking reprieve from the burden of their guilt, and they must pay for that meal with their own time and memories. Our protagonist is Clara, a medical student driving cross-country for a crucial interview. Desperate for a break and gas, she spots the faint neon glow of the midnight special around 3 a.m., often considered the devil's hour. She walks inside. The diner holds only 3 people. Silas, the ancient cook with a grease-stained apron and eyes that never blink, and 2 other patrons, a man in a rumpled suit and a young woman hunched over a cup of coffee. Clara orders a coffee and a slice of apple pie. The coffee is strangely hot, and the pie is sweet, almost narcotic. She feels instantly relaxed. She soon notices the weirdness. The clock above the counter is broken. The second hand doesn't move. She checks her wristwatch. It too has stopped precisely at 3 o'clock. She tries to reboot her phone, but the screen only displays no service. 3 a.m. She turns to the woman next to her to ask for directions. The woman looks up. Her face is a blank canvas, devoid of eyes, nose, or mouth, just smooth skin. Immediately, the woman's dress and the stool she was sitting on vanish into thin air. Only a steaming coffee cup remains on the counter. Clara frantically spins around to face Silas. The old cook offers a blank, unnerving smile, his apron seemingly flickering under the neon light. "You can't leave now, girl. The 0 hour is serving," Silas rasps. "You have to pay for your meal. It is always so." "I'll pay cash," Clara yells, reaching for her wallet. Silas shakes his head. "You ate my special apple pie. It's made with memories." Suddenly, Clara feels a horrible emptiness in her mind. She tries to recall her mother's name, or the vital interview she was driving toward. Everything is just a hazy fog. She looks at the remaining man in the suit. His face is also beginning to distort. He has no eyes, but his mouth is wide open, repeating a silent confession. "He was an embezzler," Silas whispers. "He paid me with all the memories of his family to be momentarily at peace. Now he is an empty shell. Now it's your turn, Clara. You came here seeking relief from your own fear." Clara struggles to remember what that fear even was, but the memory has been swallowed by the pie. She catches her reflection in the stainless steel coffee machine. She sees herself, forced back onto that stool. She cannot move. Just then, the diner bell chimes softly, a sound that doesn't belong to this reality. Another person walks in, a tired young man wearing glasses, looking for coffee. Silas turns toward the newcomer, his gaze empty. As Silas turns to serve the new patron, Clara feels released from the stool. She can stand up, but she cannot walk toward the door. She glances into the mirror. Her face is normal, but her hair is beginning to turn silver gray, and her eyes have become vacant, much like Silas's. She cannot remember who she is. She only remembers how to make apple pie. Clara is no longer a medical student. She has become part of the diner. Silas approaches Clara, handing her a pristine white apron. "Welcome to the shift, girl. The 0 hour needs an assistant chef." Clara accepts the apron without emotion. She walks into the kitchen. She immediately starts preparing a new apple pie, her hands moving with practiced efficiency. She looks out over the counter. Silas is no longer there. Instead, the man in the rumpled suit, now completely empty, is wearing Silas's old apron and wiping down the counter. Silas was simply the first patron to be trapped, and he found his replacement to be free. Clara looks at the new customer, the young man with glasses, drinking his coffee. She feels a coldness settle in her heart. She knows what she must do. She must make him feel tempted by the smell of the apple pie. The 0-hour diner is still open. The pie is still hot. And if you see a new waitress with vacant eyes offering you a slice, remember this: you will pay for that meal with what you fear losing the most. The silent shadows are waiting to serve you. Episode 7. The Vows of the Empty Aquarium. The setting is Neptune's Deep Aquarium, a once grand, massive facility now closed and decaying on the Florida coast. The enormous tanks are drained, the glass is cracked, and the damp corridors echo with silence. This venue was once famous for hosting hundreds of romantic weddings beneath its transparent dome. The local legend centers on a bride named Eleanor, who, abandoned by her fiancé right at the altar near the main tank, took her own life inside it. Her soul became trapped. Eleanor is not a ghost of vengeance, but a specter of loneliness and desperate yearning for connection. She still awaits couples to come and celebrate her wedding, and she absolutely forbids separation. Our protagonists are Leo and Chloe, a young couple struggling through a tense Florida vacation. Their marriage is on the brink of collapse. They constantly argue and are seriously considering divorce. Hoping to find common ground, Leo decides to take Chloe to visit the abandoned aquarium, a place Chloe had always dreamed of seeing as a child. They sneak in through a breach in the fence around midnight. They walk through the dark, water-stained corridors. The air smells heavily of old seawater, mold, and dead moss. They arrive at the grand wedding hall, where the massive main tank, now empty, looms over them. Leo and Chloe immediately start arguing again. Chloe bitterly states, "We should just end it, Leo. Everything here is dead anyway." In that exact moment, something bizarre happens. A faint blue glow like deep seawater begins to shine from inside the empty tank, and they hear a hushed weeping echoing from somewhere within. "Someone is here," Leo whispers. As the blue light intensifies, Leo and Chloe peer into the tank. At the dry bottom, they see Eleanor, the ghost bride in a moss-green, tattered wedding dress, curled up. She is holding a bouquet of withered flowers and is stitching something onto her gown with a piece of seaweed cord. Her weeping turns into a sad lullaby, repeating wedding vows: to love and to cherish, never to part. Leo and Chloe feel an invisible force pulling them closer to the tank. They stand pressed against the thick glass, staring at the ghost bride. Suddenly, Eleanor looks up, her ghostly eyes without pupils, but they flare with a fierce blue light. She smiles, a desperate, yearning smile, and points at them. She wants them to renew their vows. Right there, the blue light surges. Leo and Chloe begin to feel the cold glass softening, and the barrier seems to bend inward toward them. They scream as they realize Eleanor's intent. She wants to seal them together, literally. The pressure from the tank becomes unbearable. Leo and Chloe feel their bodies being pressed tightly against one another. Their skin feels like it's starting to fuse, as the glass seems to be enveloping them into the tank. In a moment of sheer terror, Chloe desperately screams, "I hate you! I want a divorce!" That declaration, the vow of separation, seems to have explosive power. The blue light flashes. Eleanor lets out a shriek of agonizing pain, and the glass instantly hardens, violently pushing Leo and Chloe away. They fall onto the damp floor, gasping for air. The ghost bride vanishes. The aquarium reverts to its former dark, cold silence. They have survived. Leo and Chloe flee the aquarium, saying nothing more about divorce. They are too terrified. They return home and attempt to continue their fracturing marriage. Months later, they are still together. One morning, Leo is shaving, and Chloe stands behind him. Chloe places her hand on Leo's shoulder. Leo feels an inexplicable coldness from her touch. He looks into the mirror. He sees Chloe smiling, but the smile is too wide, too vacant. She is no longer just Chloe. Her hair has a faint, mossy green tint, and on her wrist there is a round, white, perfect scar, like the drain hole of an aquarium tank. Chloe whispers, but the voice is not hers. It is Eleanor's. "We will never part, my love. I vowed it. You vowed it." Leo tries to turn around, but her grip is impossibly tight. They have been sealed by Eleanor, not by glass, but by a curse. They are forced to be together forever, prisoners in a dead marriage. Neptune's deep aquarium still stands, waiting for eternal vows. If your marriage is on the rocks, remember this. Death might accept divorce, but the ghost bride does not. The silent shadows congratulate your union. Episode 8. The Dream Hunter of Tunnel 9. The setting is the old railway tunnel, Tunnel 9, cutting through the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. The tunnel was sealed off in the 1950s after a catastrophic train accident killed dozens of workers and passengers. It is known for its chilling silence and unidentifiable groans. The most terrifying legend here is about the Dream Hunter, a shapeless entity that resides in the tunnel's perpetual darkness. It does not harm your body. Instead, it eats your dreams. Anyone who sleeps near Tunnel 9 is stripped of their happy memories, their hopes, and eventually, their very ability to dream. Once that ability is gone, you become a hollow shell, trapped in a waking nightmare. Our protagonist is Aaron, a young documentary filmmaker working on a project about abandoned places. Aaron suffers from chronic insomnia and is plagued by recurring nightmares. He believes the absolute stillness and haunted atmosphere of the tunnel will help him find relief from his terrible dreams. He pitches a tent just outside the tunnel entrance, setting up an infrared camera deep inside to record anything that moves in the dark. The tunnel is pitch black, bone-chillingly cold, and so deep you cannot see the other end. Aaron feels a profound, almost absolute quiet, and unnatural stillness. The first night passes. Aaron sleeps incredibly deeply, for the first time in months. The next morning, he wakes up feeling like he has forgotten something. He can't recall what he dreamed, but he feels alarmingly lightheaded. He reviews the footage. It's a static black screen until about 3 a.m. The camera shakes slightly, and then a vague haze, not smoke, but a thick gray vapor, slowly creeps out from deep within the tunnel, moving directly toward his tent. It makes no sound. Aaron decides to sleep there a second night, this time leaving an audio recorder running inside his tent. The second night, he sleeps deeply again, but this time he wakes up in a panic, not from a nightmare, but from emptiness. He cannot recall his mother's face. He cannot recall the joy he felt when his first film premiered. His most beautiful memories are gone. He plays back the recording. There is the sound of him sleeping. Then there is a slight whooshing sound, like a sharp intake of breath backwards. The sound of something sucking out air or life. Then, his own voice whispers a single word, not in his adult voice, but in the sobbing cry of a child. No. Aaron attempts to film the third night, forcing himself to stay awake. He brings a powerful flashlight. At 3 a.m., the gray vapor appears again, this time more distinct. It's not mist. It's a swirling amalgamation of blurry images, faces, landscapes, and stolen memories, forming a relentless vortex. It drifts into Aaron's tent. He shines the flashlight on it. The light passes through it, as if it has no mass, but he feels an extreme coldness. The dream hunter begins its assault. Aaron feels a cold current of energy pass through his forehead. In his mind, he sees an old photo of his deceased father being ripped to shreds, then sucked into the gray vapor. He screams silently. Aaron finally stumbles out of the tent, crawling away from the tunnel. He doesn't look back. He drives away without stopping. He survived, and he is free from the nightmares, absolutely, because he is no longer capable of dreaming. Weeks later, Aaron returns home. He sits at his computer trying to edit his documentary, but he cannot. He cannot remember why he made the film. He no longer feels joy, sorrow, or any emotion related to the film. He is just a walking camera. He looks in the mirror. His face is still Aaron's, but his eyes are empty and vacant, devoid of light or life. He has become a hollow shell. That night he goes to sleep. He dreams of nothing, a deep, perfect, silent slumber. But as he lies there, perfectly still in the dark, he hears a faint, subtle moan echoing from his pillow. It is the faint sound of his lost happy memories, trapped and being digested by the dream hunter that followed him home and is now nesting inside his mind. Aaron wakes up, but he feels no fear. He feels nothing. He only feels a perfect stillness. Tunnel 9 still stands, dark and lonely. And it doesn't just imprison souls, it sends its predators out into the world. If you are tired of your nightmares, be careful what you wish for, because relief might cost more than you think. The silent shadows wish you a dreamless sleep. Episode 9, The Attic of Forgotten Pets. Tonight, Elias Thorne will not take us to a distant or majestic location. We are going somewhere intimate and deeply painful, the family attic. Every attic holds forgotten objects, but in this particular house in New Jersey, the attic holds forgotten souls. The legend of this space began with a multi-generational terrible habit. When family pets, dogs, cats, rabbits, parrots, died or grew old, instead of proper burial, the families simply wrapped them in an old box and stored them in the attic, abandoning them one last time. The cumulative pain and resentment of dozens of betrayed pets amassed, giving rise to a mysterious entity called the Gathering. The Gathering is a composite spirit, formed from feathers, fur, and the silent cries of these betrayed animals. It doesn't want to harm adults. It craves unconditional love, and it will seek that from the children in the house. Our protagonist is Lillian, Lily, a 9-year-old girl who has just moved into the old house with her parents. Lily is intensely lonely. Her parents, David and Sarah, are constantly preoccupied with their careers. Her only close friend is her kitten, Milo. From the very first night, Lily hears strange sounds. Not footsteps, but gentle scratching on the ceiling above her room, directly under the attic. Sometimes she hears faint cat whines and weak dog yelps from above. Lily's parents dismiss it as squirrels or mice. One night, Lily wakes up. The scratching is more pronounced. She sees a vague shadow moving on the ceiling, hovering right above her bed. Then, a green feather drifts down from a small crack in the ceiling. Lily is scared, but she doesn't feel malice. She feels a profound desperation. Lily starts having strange dreams. She dreams the attic is not dark but full of light, with soft, adorable animals playing happily. They call her name, promising the love she doesn't receive from her parents. One night, Lily wakes to find the attic door, usually locked, ajar. Milo, her kitten, is curled up at the foot of her bed, fast asleep. Lily decides to go up. She takes her flashlight and climbs the creaking attic stairs. The air in the attic is strangely both hot and chilling. Piles of cardboard boxes are stacked like tombstones. She begins to hear calls for her name, not in a human voice, but in soft meows and faint woofs. Lily shines her flashlight into a corner. She sees an unidentified mass in the center of the room. It is a shadowy, tangled shape, made of dog hair, cat fur, rusty bells, and dry claws, all stuck together, suspended in the air. The gathering drifts toward Lily. It is not aggressive, but it is starving. It generates a strange voice, a blend of human sobs and weak animal cries. Love us. Love us as you promised. Don't forget. It extends a hand, a dried rabbit foot, beckoning her. Lily, in her desperate loneliness, steps forward and touches the dry rabbit foot. The cold is unbearable. Immediately, the attic door slams shut. The gathering clutches Lily. She feels her body being enveloped by fur and feathers. She is not dying, but she is being assimilated into the entity, becoming the next source of unconditional affection to sustain it. Luckily, the noise wakes David and Sarah. They force the attic door open and flip on the light. The gathering instantly dissipates, but Lily falls onto the dusty floor, shaking. She is saved, but she never speaks of what she saw. Weeks later, Lily becomes withdrawn. She stops playing with Milo. Her parents assume she is traumatized and will eventually recover. One evening, David and Sarah are watching TV when they hear a loud, distressed meow from Lily's room. They rush upstairs. Milo, the kitten, is lying on the floor, dead. Lily is sitting on her bed, stroking her own face. She smiles at her parents. She is no longer lonely. As David looks at Lily's face under the lamplight, he sees a horrifying detail. A single strand of cat hair is growing out of the corner of Lily's eye, and she begins to make a strange sound. Not a human sound, but a satisfied, eerie, blended purr and yelp, the collective sound of all the abandoned pets. Lily has absorbed the gathering's resentment. She no longer needs Milo. She has become her own best friend. She has become the new gathering. The attic of forgotten pets remains. If you hear scratching on the ceiling, remember this: unconditional love can be the most terrifying form of possession. The silent shadows wish peace upon your four-legged friends.